And we're live. Greetings and salutations. This is Unfoff Neverborn, the abyss that slumbers, and you're listening to Eldritch Rants, the show where we dare to ask the question, are you okay, Eddie? The answer to this question and many more will be answered by our panel of experts, including... Hold on one sec while I get my panel of experts. All right, there, I can see him now. Starting off with Drew, who is indeed a smooth criminal. Also, we've got Gwendy Wook, who is apparently an out-of-work Pepsi commercial technician and a professional chimpanzees wrangler. And we are joined by the mad libertarian himself, Mad Dodge, who just had his 100th episode. You should go check him out on the Red Eye. He's a pretty cool guy. And just so everybody knows here, he is here because he is the first person to come back from 23andme.com to be racially declared a mamase, mamasa, mamasakusa, which puts him as the same race as Michael Jackson and a minority, so everybody must treat him the same way they always did, but secretly, through microaggression, we must sabotage everything he does. And of course, we have last but not least, he is got a black belt in bullshit, he's the bear in a blather. The only difference between what he does and bullshit is all in the swagger. The one and only Funny Bone Stink. How's everybody doing tonight?
I don't think we're on YouTube.
I don't think we're on YouTube.
No, it says it's live now.
It says stop. Well, I've got a stop streaming button. So I think it turned on. So if we're streaming into the void and I'm just howling into the wind, that's pretty much typical around here.
I mean, given the gale force winds you're getting.
Hey, Jacob can hear us.
Finally.
Jacob confirms we're here. Okay. Well, at any rate, how's everybody doing?
Oh, you know. I went a week with a terrible headache that turned into a migraine, and then my kid was throwing the fuck up all over my bed, and it was great!
I'm more functional than normal.
Sounds like a normal Saturday.
Yeah, by the way, if periodically it sounds like I'm in the middle of the hurricane, that's only because there's gale force winds howling outside the building for ever, past couple hours or so. At any rate here, shall we just jump into it like we usually do?
Yeah.
Yes.
Okay, fifth day of water shortages in Greece's second largest city. Greece, an incredibly socialist country, apparently is, again, out of water because one of the major pipelines that feeds the place, kind of shattered and stopped working entirely. And so no water's getting to the city anymore and everybody has to drink bottled water. You're talking about a metropolitan area of 1.2 million people with no water because of a break in the line from 30 miles away.
Maybe they should have thought about that when they reneged on their bills with everybody else.
Would now be a good time to bring up Flint?
Oh, Flint, Michigan. Yeah, I mean, again, another city that's basically run by socialists. And for some reason, whenever you're run by socialists, the infrastructure of your city seems to disintegrate. Kind of funny like that.
I live like 15 minutes away from there. I can confirm all of this.
You have my condolences, man.
No, I'm far enough away that the water doesn't affect me, but...
You think?
Yeah.
No,
Was it the water or was it the pipes?
The pipe itself is gone. There's nothing wrong with the water. It's just there
is and there isn't. They were piping in water from the Flint River, which is like one of the most polluted rivers in the country, I think. I want to say.
It's up there.
Yeah, if it isn't, it's definitely up there.
Uh-huh.
I just thought it was worth mentioning. I don't think we need to go into a lot of details, but this is what happens if you don't pay attention to your infrastructure and you only worry about my feels,
This also proves the point of why we have a term in Australia of fucking stupid wogs, because they can't afford to repair the pipe, but they can afford to buy shit tons of bottled water.
Actually, the money is already there set aside to redo the infrastructure. They just can't agree on when to start.
In Flint? Seriously?
Yeah. The money is all there. It's in an account set aside specifically to repair or do all what they need to do with the pipes.
I'm sure it's just a regulation issue. It's like what's going on in Puerto Rico. Like, they had all the cable. They had all the equipment. They had an account full of money, and they didn't repair anything. And in fact, were found to be auctioning off the copper. I mean, seriously. What?
Wait, like fucking straight up tweakers, like selling off the copper?
Yeah.
They were
Yeah.
auctioning off the copper. The money kind of vanished, and it's the reason why nobody's been getting back power is because the government owns the power company, and the power company was just putting it in their pockets and walking off.
And this is another reason I honestly do believe that we should just make Puerto Rico a state, take the fucking thing over, and just do all the shit our damn selves. Honestly.
Yeah, well, now I know where Taree Council's getting their political advice from.
Ah, well, shall we move on?
Yes.
AP analysis, blacks largely left out of among high-paying jobs. Now, I went and actually looked this over, and their math on the surface looks to be right, that black people are being left out of high-paying jobs. You know, the usual, we're not having equality of outcome. They never talk about, equality of opportunity. But one thing to point out that took a bit for digging for me to figure out is the big problem seems to be they do not compare experience. Whereas they just compare blacks to whites. They don't go, okay, here's a white person with 20 years of experience, and here's a black guy who just got out of college. Why aren't they hiring the black guy? I don't know. Maybe because he doesn't have 20 years of experience. From what I've seen in other studies, if you compare 10 years to 10 years, you compare, background to background, and you say, hey, this person's working 40 hours, that person's working 40 hours. The pay is almost comparable. There's some decrease on the black side still, but it's nowhere near as bad as they point out in this article.
Maybe they should get Kanye here to fucking employ some more of his friends.
Yeah, and actually, speaking of Kanye, he's one of the problems. He skews the entire thing. You get this 1% of blacks who really, they kind of screw up the skew. Like if you really want an honest assessment of things, you kind of need to talk off the top 1% of both the whites and the blacks to look at normal Americans. And when you look at only 99% of both groups and you knock off that top 1% econ wise, it really evens out. But that's because most 1%ers are insane. And I mean that literally.
Eldritch, why are we looking at it through a colored lens to begin with? Maybe because I was raised in the fucking 80s and 90s, but I don't really see the world that way. Aren't they just people that work a certain job and there's an average for that job? Do we necessarily have to color them black and white?
Oh,
Same here, yeah.
Oh, no, I agree with you 100%. This is... Well, I mean, I understand that one should check it, just to make sure that, things are even. But you got to do an honest survey. You can't lie and say, okay, this guy who's 55 compared to this guy who's 20, and the 55 guy's got a better job. Duh. Frickin' duh. I'd be annoyed if I was 55 and had the same pay as a normal person. Please chat amongst yourself. I've got to take the phone.
Yeah, well, I'm the same as Mad Lib, like I grew up with fucking, equality and all this. You treat every person as an individual. In Australia, you treat everyone as a mate until they piss you off. It doesn't matter what colour, what fucking race you are. You're a mate, and if you're in trouble, we'll fucking help you. And I've served with fucking North Force and the Pilbara Regiment, and they're all full of Aboriginals, and they are the best fucking people you'll ever want to meet. And then all of a sudden, they're now saying, oh, you're white, so you're racist. No, you're an individual, and you can fuck off. That's how it goes out here. So I'm like you. I don't know where the fuck this racist bullshit comes from. But if any cunt wants to call me a racist, the minute I don't save anybody out of a fucking house fire because of the colour of their skin, that's the minute you can call me a racist. Until then, you can get fucked.
But just because you're not doesn't mean that other people aren't.
Yeah. And I don't like being put in the same boat as every other fuckwit either.
And that's fair.
And I'm back. Sorry about that.
It's okay.
Okay, where were we?
Farty's not racist unless he lets the black people burn. That's the last thing.
Okay, gotcha. That's a good summary.
I like that. I
believe the only way to solve racism or bigotry of any sort is apathy. The problem is that these people go, the only way to solve hatred is with love. No, it doesn't. Because if you could get him,
hate isn't love. The opposite of hate is apathy.
To some degree, yes. I mean, well, constructive not caring is the opposite of hate. The true opposite. I don't care about it, but I want a positive outcome. You know, I don't want to get emotional about it, but I do like to see things get better. You know, that's the true opposite of hate. When you get emotional about something, even if you love something, the problem is you're going to love one person more than another, whether you like it or not, and that's favoritism. Okay, if you love, you can't love everybody equally, or you'll go crazy. We've got a client here who does that.
I'm not saying I have a favorite daughter, but I might have a favorite daughter.
It's human nature, but you need to be conscious of the fact that it's best to just say, I'm going to look at this detached. And I want the best outcome. And if that means I've got to hurt somebody's feelings to have them have a better life overall, then that's what you do. You know, sometimes you got to tell people, hey, you're being an idiot. Stop being an idiot. No, you can't do anything you want. You're never going to be X. Why don't we focus on your strengths and have you have a future that you can enjoy? Might not be amazing, but it'd be good. And wouldn't good be better than flailing about and winding up on the streets? You know, just saying.
I don't necessarily agree with that.
Why is that?
Well, excuse me, holy shit. Like for me, for me to tell my son, like, you can't, like, there's some things that there's no possible way that you could ever do. Yeah, there's going to be things that there's no possible way that my son could ever do. I'm sorry, my son can't be a mom. It's not going to happen. No. But, like, to tell him, if I could never tell him that you can't ever be an astronaut, because, I mean, he could.
Allow me to clarify that. I believe that everybody as a baby is born with virtually unlimited potential. I mean, virtually, effectively at that moment, but it's potential. As you get older, your cone of potentiality starts to get smaller and more narrow. What is potential for you starts to get focused. And there's a certain point where you need to make a choice as to where you're going to actualize your potential, or trust me, that cone will narrow to the point where it makes a choice for you. That's what I'm talking about, and that's how I view it.
So you're saying there's some people who are just destined to be janitors?
Possible. Well, I mean, I work with these clients who have problems. I know a guy who's he's in a wheelchair. He can't move anything except jiggle his head. And yes, indeed, he busses tables. And I will tell you this: you try and do his job for him, he will take your ankles out. He has. I've gone to. Let me help you with that, and he literally will run into you. And then I go, hey, what the hell's on? And the guy with me says, don't do his job for him. He can't talk. Don't do his job for him. Stop trying to be helpful. Let him do his job. He wants to do his job. I'm like, oh, I'm terribly sorry. So in that regards, I don't hold it against him, but he demands his job, and his job is a bus tables. It's the best he can do. But I'll tell you this: he does it the best he can. And I admire him. Joe's a great guy. I love working with him every time I have. But I'm saying that, yeah, some people, you do have limits. But the thing is, though, if you make your decision, the earlier you make your decision, what you're going to focus on for your potential, the more likely you're going to reach it. When you stay there and you say, I'm going to go to college and discover myself, that's a really bad idea.
Yeah, but isn't that demographic flaky to begin with? I mean, you can't really necessarily make your career path known at the age of 18, right? When you graduate high school.
You can. When they tell you that you're supposed to?
You can. I mean, you can say, I know what general direction I want to go. I want to be in business. I want to be in psychology. I want to be in this and that. And then you can narrow down to more specific, or you can see whether your skill set actually allows you to do it. I know one guy who said, I want to be a hockey star. And I'm like, dude, you're 32 years old. And you're I'm kind of good at it. And I'm like, okay, let's look at this logically. How much hockey have you played? I've done some. I'm like, you've done some street hockey? Really?
Yeah, this isn't like that Mark Wahlberg movie where, you know, the bartender goes and tries out for the Philadelphia Eagles and becomes the starting quarterback.
It kind of is. There was the story that we covered yesterday where an accountant that was doing recreational league hockey actually is playing now for, I don't remember what hockey team. I don't watch.
But
that's the
he
exception
focused.
rather
No.
than the rule.
He's not the exception. He's the exact opposite. He saw his goal and he kept focusing on it. And he wasn't lazy, and he didn't just expect things to fall into his lap. He was part of a league. He was working. He was not some guy who picked up a stick and liked hitting around a rubber ball. That's
then he
the
wouldn't be
difference.
in a recreational league. He'd be in a minor league.
Well, I mean, he eventually worked his way up. That's the point. You don't even, it depends on how dedicated you are towards your goal. You can achieve a lot if you focus on it, but it does require time and sacrifices.
Well, conversely, everyone just seems to be focusing on the Western world. We'll take, for instance, if you were born in, say, Panama, for example, 20 years ago, you could have been born with all the potential in the world, but the RUF went and put a stop to that by chopping off one of your arms. Now, someone with 2 arms over in Sierra Leone is very much employable. Someone without a limb is shit out of luck forever, and no one gives a shit about them. So they never had the potential, or never are going to have been given the potential either.
Oh, I want to bring up something that...
Story, though. Their potential was taken from them.
I do want to bring up a point that Mr. Gurr brought up, which is actually very important, which I wasn't addressed in the survey at all, that there is a decided difference between how far people advance when they have 2 parents versus having only 1. It's not all, but it shows that economically speaking, when you have only 1 parent, financially speaking, you don't do as well. I mean, that's not everybody, but it happens. It's the statistical curve.
It's a trend.
Yeah, and when you look at black people as a whole, I believe currently we've got 74% in America only have 1 parent. That's a horrible statistic to have. So
yeah, but that's a outcome of the welfare state, where in the 90s they were telling women that if there was a 2-parent household, they would get less money and they would have to do more work. So they kicked the men out of the households.
Well, we're actually going to get into a similar subject in a minute where, which one was it? Where you have got something about this, but that's right, the whole thing about marriage and construct and all this kind of stuff. Like the minute we started fucking lowering social standards to allow men to be cowards and run away from fucking their responsibilities when they get a Sheila up the duff, is the minute we had an open slather for blokes to go out, fuck everybody they want, and if they had a kid, doesn't matter. So part of the responsibility should be put back on the blokes to fucking stick around in some cases.
I agree. To some extent, it is on the guys. I mean, I'm not going, oh, wow, that is, unfortunately, there's a delicate balance there where part of me wants to go, I completely understand your position. And then there's a part of me that goes, however, you're still a man and you got an obligation to do what a man's got to do. Sorry. Your situation sucks, but... and maybe that's bias on my part. Maybe that's my toxic masculinity coming through. But I'm always of the opinion that you're happiest when you have responsibility.
You know what I think?
That's an old school Victorian construct, because, that's where I was brought up. You're 14 years and 9 months old. You can get the fuck out and start earning some money, cunt.
Well, I always thought it was funny, too. They say toxic masculinity, but it was our mothers that taught us to take care of women, was it not?
Exactly.
Well, yeah, that's usually how it is. Well, I mean, you love your mother, and you go, hey, look, there's another woman. She's kind of like my mother. Maybe she should be respected too. I don't know.
And then you have a look at Muslims where they don't respect women at all, and you find that most young Muslim boys are the apple of their eyes to their mother, but if their mother really knew what they fucking thought, oh, shit, they'd fucking drown at birth.
Actually, somebody talked to me about this. I hate to get this far off topic here, but I thought this was an interesting comment when somebody put it to me. There was somebody who was going, men do not objectify women sexually. And I'm like, huh? No, some men do. And they go, no, generally not. And I said, what do you mean? They subjectify women. Men usually they think about the woman and they want the whole package. You do have some men who just want to go out and hit it and quit it, But in general, a lot of, giving me incidences of where they were talking to madams and they say, most of these men who are paying for these high-powered prostitutes that are thousands of dollars, they want to talk to them. They want to go on a date. They want to spend 4 or 5, 6 hours with them, sometimes a weekend with them. And the actual sex is usually very little. They want the whole package, not just, 15 minutes of sex. On the other hand, The number, when you look at what men want to buy, when they say, hey, what's your ideal sex toy? It's the whole doll, the whole real doll thing, not just like a vagina. That isn't a big seller. On the other hand, with women, they like to buy dildos. They don't need the rest of it. They just need the penis. Now, you want to talk about who's objectifying you? You've got these men buying real dolls that come with personalities and whole programs, and you can't sleep with them until you've gone through the motions of seducing them. And I'm like, wow, that's an interesting idea. Men do, we project our subjectivity onto women, and we project onto them what we want. And so you have the whole, there's what she actually is, and then there's what you imagine her to be, which is a big problem. But beyond that, we don't tend to think of them as just an object. When you go to a strip club, the men aren't just treating the women like objects. It's more like a prayer. It's more like a temple where they're worshiping the women. And I can't agree to this one he brought up to me because I did know some male strippers. They would never go to a female-only night to do stripping. And these guys were straight guys. And they would always go to the gay clubs to do stripping. And I'm like, you're gay, right? No, I'm not gay. The men know to keep their hands to themselves. When I go to a women's strip club, they attack you. They will attack you and try to tear off your clothes and knock you off the stage. It is terrible. I will never do that again. The men, they know enough to just put the money in your band and then back off.
Reminds me of a funny story with a couple of mates of mine in the cross. Who wants to hear that one?
How long is it?
Not long.
All right, then let's rattle off and then we'll move on.
All right, my mate Charlie and my mate Simic, right? This is back when Simic was really young and he hadn't fucking got his end away yet, and he's really skittish about Sheila's. And Charlie's going up to him one day and I'll take you to the cross to a strip club. Anyway, so they've gone to this one. Charlie specifically picked this one because of live sex acts and all this kind of stuff. And so he specifically sat Simic down right up next to the fucking the dancing bloody podium thing. And while Simic wasn't looking, Charlie's surreptitiously pointing to the back of his fucking head to this Sheila. Anyway, so she looks over, claps eyes on Simic, starts walking over. The instant she does that, Charlie pretends to get on his phone and walks away. Oh, yeah, hey, yeah, no worries. Oh, hang on, I'll just move to a quieter spot. Leaving poor little Simic in this fucking nightclub in front of everybody, and she's dragged him up on stage and started ripping his bloody clothes off, and he's just fucking freaked out. Went, oh, fuck, and he's running out of the joint, and fucking, yeah, Charlie had to go and look for him for another 2 hours. But she was going to get a dog up on stage too.
I didn't need that last part. I don't think I need to know about the animals. That's good enough for me. Anything else on this topic?
Gone to Mexico? Come on, Eldritch.
You prude. Yeah, I'm a prude. Anybody else got anything they want to talk about this topic before we move on?
Well, Gwendy was laughing her ass off about the dildo comment. You got any thoughts on that? I want to hear you elaborate on that one.
It's funny just because it's true. Anyway, moving on to how heterosexuality was invented. From BBC. I mean, this is an older article from January, but somebody brought it to my attention. I'm sitting there and going, what? I mean, you got to look at the video and everything, but I don't think we need to go any more in depth than the title, which is the assumption that heterosexuality was invented.
It kind of looks like just one more of these fucking LGBT bullshit arguments about how they try to justify their existence and all this kind of stuff.
Well, wait a minute. Let's think about this logically and take a step back. Because if you look at Greek culture, especially in Sparta, there was a lot of weird shit going on there, was there not?
Yeah, Greek style and all that.
Well, yes. However, how long did their civilization last?
Long enough to create the foundation for all of Western civilization.
Oh, that's true. I mean, to be honest here, I don't think that it was invented, though. That's my point. I mean, I do believe that that homosexuality is genetic to some degree, that you just get hardwired a certain way, and no amount of brainwashing is going to fix that. All right, because there's just too much evidence to indicate it's that way.
So if you have a gay uncle that might skip a generation but reemerge, is that what you're saying?
Or it may
gay
be
uncle.
that you just had certain genes that get activated because a lot of it's about birth order. The first generation firstborn son usually doesn't have a problem, but about the third or fourth one, there is evidence that the mother's immune system starts attacking male children after like this third or fourth child. And so there's some evidence that what the male child does in response to defend itself is to become a bit more feminine, so the autoimmune system doesn't eliminate it. If you actually do the research, there is some indication that it may be, there's a number of factors involved. Nobody's quite got it pinned down, but I don't think it's really like a choice. I think part of it really is hardwired, either through the environment triggered something or you're just going to be that way. I don't think it's a high percentage. I think we're around 6 to 10% at most. But that all said, I don't. So that's why I'm like the whole argument of, hey, we want to justify our existence. No, it's there. The problem is it's along the lines of you're not trying to justify your existence. You're trying to tear everything else down at the same time.
Well, no. And what about the new trend of this transgender stuff? That can't be hardwired. I mean, you didn't have a bunch of people wanting to cut off their balls 100 years ago.
It's not new.
No, well, it's not new, but that's also dysphoria. I mean, I know one guy who didn't believe his arm was real. And
almost 30 years ago, ADHD was new.
Like he literally does not believe his limb is part of him. And
don't get me started on ADHD though.
But 30 years ago, that was new. Yeah. And there's evidence that it's been around for hundreds of years.
There's evidence that they shouldn't be subscribing fucking crystal meth to children also. They're over.
Oh god, yeah, no.
Well, yeah, no, I mean the whole giving the mood modifiers to children, that's probably a really bad idea. Yeah.
Actually it's not. Because I actually went through the Dr. Serpentine Clinic in Sydney, which was the first actual doctor's practice in Australia that actually focused on ADHD before it was actually a thing. And I was one of the first few groups to go through that. And now, because of that, it's become recognised and all this. And I'm actually starting to think about going back to them to see about this, fucking 16 up, 23 up and all this kind of shit. See, like, what their work was, what the results of their work were 30 years later.
Oh, I'm not saying it's complete bunk, but the percentages, I can't imagine the incidence is as high as it is.
Well, that was also perpetuated by your general GPs and shit like that, because when it started becoming recognised, it turned into a case that you didn't have to go to a specialist to be diagnosed or get treatment for it or anything like that. You basically just went to your GP and they went, "Oh, your little shit needs a smack in the bum. Oh, we'll give him a handful of these pills. That'll fix him," and it didn't.
Ah, well, anything else on this topic before we move on? Moving on to Dear White People, No Melanin, No Opinion. Again, I gotta stop asking for cringe. I love how it starts.
If we had no melanin, you'd be albino.
You'd be albino.
And by the way, Mr. Gurr, I too shall start this piece with full disclosure. In case it wasn't obvious already, I am of African heritage, specifically something blah blah Ghanaian, I can't pronounce it, and identify as Black British, therefore rendering me underprivileged and a minority in British society.
I identify as Ugandan Knuckles, and I know the way.
We know the way. Do you know the way? I know the way. You do not know the way. I know the way.
The way of the devil is Ebola.
God damn it. No, you guys. No.
Do not have sex with do not have monkey back sex. Hola.
I can't handle you guys.
If you have monkey sex hola, you will get the Ebola.
Oh my god, stop.
We will spit out the imposter and they will not like it, I tell you.
Oh no, I'm gonna die.
I'll be honest. I read through this article and I can't understand what it means. I really can't. He jumps around talking about what white and colored mean, and I don't know.
I love the stereotypical fucking pissed off, empowered women type. We're powerful and we're pissed off and all this kind of stuff. But yeah, you punch them once in the face and they'll turn into a bubbling piece of shit.
I mean, in all fairness, most people do when you punch them in the face.
Yeah, most people don't
I
like
would
being
know.
punched in the face,
Just
but
a few people.
But yeah, they kind of look like they need a punch in the face just to wipe that shit-eating grin off it, you know? I'm not saying it's because
Nah.
they're blacks or anything like that. So it even with like normal women or anything like that, when you give them a bit of power, they have this like, we're so powerful we can even stand up to ISIS. Well, off you go.
Okay, if anyone
well,
actually says that, I swear to God, they're fucking retarded.
Well, here's the way that I pretty much define it. The difference between an idiot and somebody who's smart is the idiot knows how smart he is and the smart guy knows how dumb he is. The meaning is that the smart guy knows his limits. He knows when he's reached the point where he goes, you know what? I don't know what the hell's going on here. I'm no good at this. This is not my skill set. You need to talk to somebody else. You need somebody else to help you. I can't handle this. I'm not that smart. Okay, because I know some people who are pretty, I would say, unknowledgeable, but they know their limits. They don't go off and talk about shit they don't know talk about. On the other hand, I know some people, they know everything. They have an opinion on everything, even if they have no idea what you're talking about. Those are the idiots. I don't care how much they know. If you talk about something you don't know, you're stupid.
I actually
Stop
hate the
calling me
people
an
who.
idiot.
I really hate the people who know their limits, especially in the area that I live in, because the people around here are so epically fucking stupid that their limit is so infinitesimally small. It's sort of kind of like, how can you even remember to breathe?
Not knowing them, I don't know how to comment. At any rate, back to this.
You don't
It's
wanna-
I don't even know what the real point is, other than it's more. The part that stood out to me is that this was in Britain. And I kind of thought that in Britain there wasn't a lot of racism against black people because it just seemed like they didn't care. Like, I saw them in British soap operas. Like, it didn't seem to me that, like, in Britain there was a lot of discrimination. And yet this guy is going on about how I'm underprivileged. And it's like, really?
If you want my 100% honest opinion,
Sure.
Yes.
also because the people of African descent in Britain are also not as self-entitled as the ones in America.
That's,
Well, that's
a good
true, too.
point. That's pretty true.
Yeah, they all really.
But yeah,
Everyone.
just like with the rest of the Commonwealth, right? Like Australia's been renowned for being a racist country and all this kind of stuff. And I remember being brought up on shows like Kingswood Country and The Goodies. And if you ever go and watch The Goodies again, especially the episode where they get tasked to improve fucking not immigration, what's it, tourism in South Africa, every time they go, oh, we want to improve tourism in South Africa. Well, what the bloody hell you want to do that for? The place is full of nignogs. And that was actually in the kids' show.
Full of
Yeah, no
what?
The fuck is the Goodies? Like, I know what the Goonies are, but
The
what
Goodies.
the fuck is the
Yeah.
Goodies?
Nobody.
There
I don't
was
think the
this-
rest of us have any
it was-
idea what that is.
It was this show in the late 70s, early 80s, and it had Tim Brooke Taylor, Bill Oddie, and Graham Gardner in it. And it was about these three guys who had left a shit ton of money, and their basic job was to fix any problem that anybody had. And they did these random jobs, and it was a comical show where, someone had stolen the beef from London Tower, so all the beef eaters were starving away to nothing, and they had to go and find the person who was stealing the beef from the beef eaters and all this kind of stuff. It was stupid shit like that. Oh, but then there was another one, the Eki Thump episode, right? The Eki Thump is a Scottish martial art where they beat the shit out of you with a black pudding, right? And there was even this one bit where they did the Al Johnson bit, and they actually had Graham Gardner all in blackface and all this kind of stuff, and he's dancing around doing the, fake punches and all this kind of stuff, and then he just pauses, goes to camera and does that, mammy, and then goes back to throwing
my
punches and
God.
shit. Yeah, no kidding. This shit was like
That's
so fucking
so
racist.
The only thing I remember from the 70s is when Gilligan and Skipper went on to have their own TV show where they launched themselves into space, okay? And they were flying around in space. This was after Gilligan's Island. The actors for Gilligan and the Skipper both became astronauts, and they got lost in space in a space capsule.
I enjoy
I need the name of that. Eldritch, DM me the name of that.
I do not remember it. I just remember that at one point Gilligan gets in a sword fight with somebody and starts disintegrating people. But
my God,
it was
Drew, we need to
from the
find
same
this
guys who did HR Puff and stuff.
Oh my God, Drew! We need to find this later.
Happy, relax, and puffing stuff.
Ah, But
I'll post it.
I will look it up later, but I do not remember what it is. But I do remember I can probably find it with some time, but not here in the middle of the show. Anyway, moving on here. Far Cry 5 is not political enough. That's the summary of the article here. And I mean, it's a game about you're a police officer fighting a cult that wants to bring about doomsday and shit. I mean, it sounds pretty political already, but apparently to some reviewers, it's like, this was a great story and a great thing, but they just didn't go far enough. And it's like, seriously? Far Cry has always been a little bit political, but it wasn't the center. Okay, the story was the center of their video games, not the politics. The politics was in there, but it wasn't, it wasn't the center. So you're like, oh, there it is. It's an interesting concept to explore. And I think that's what the left is about. It's like, they didn't have a strong message. Well, you don't need a strong message because politics is messy. Nothing is clear-cut, black and white. And there's always a little bit of wiggle room. And I'm not saying that everything's a shade of gray. I'm saying that everything's pretty much a rainbow of color. Okay? You don't have to think only in black and white. But
Can I join the cult?
No, in the game you can't join the cult. Maybe that was the problem. You should be able to join the cult and oppress people's right to free speech and then politically correct everybody. If that was an option, they probably would have loved it.
That at all.
I don't think that's in the game, but still.
I'm still surprised they haven't fucking had a sook about all the gunplay.
Yeah, oddly enough, they didn't complain about the gun show at all, but meh.
I mean, like, they're even banning YouTube fucking channels that just do gun reviews and stuff like that. I'm surprised they didn't. No, it's got to be banned because it refers to a gun once in one part of it.
Too many video games do that for them to be able to get away with it. They would immediately get shot down because you have to do that with every video game that has that same gun or any guns, and you'd pretty much lose half of the video games that are out there, and you'd have a giant outcry, not only from your nerd video game group and your developers, your companies that actually make these games. You'd also have the problem with movies. The entertainment industry would have an issue. That would be a crock of crap and would never work.
Oh, yeah. I'll also... go ahead.
Remove one of YouTube's largest revenue streams.
Oh, yeah.
Well, fun fact, In-Range TV, who's also linked to Forgotten Weapons, they've basically shut off all their fucking YouTube monetization and all this kind of stuff, and they're actually moving to Pornhub. One of the videos they did...
I've heard of people doing this. I've heard of this.
One of the videos they did the other day was from a rare device that they used to use in England to scare away birds in fields. It was called a clock gun. And, I left a comment on their thing saying, when you put this on Pornhub, make sure you spell clock right.
Oh, God. Oh, my God.
God damn it for your eye.
Oh, my God. That's amazing. Yeah, I mean, I'll be honest. By the way, advice to Pornhub: make a non-porn site for videos that's part of your family.
You know how much money they would make off that shit, though?
Especially since Pornhub would be like, we don't care what you put here. We allow.
They don't.
Yeah, there is virtually no limit to what they allow there, and so, my God, if they could expand the audience past the porn, they'd probably make so much money.
No. What they should do is, if they really wanted to support LGBT rights on Pornhub, is they've already got the guns and the Sheilas, ladies, right? They need to have liquor and bacon on there as well.
Awesome. The bacon channel. Everything's better with bacon. Bacon is better with bacon. I want a big bowl of deep fried bacon with bacon bits on it. That's good.
Liquor,
oh my God,
guns.
Did I ever tell you about my job where I worked at a pizzeria?
Come over here for a weekend. We got this restaurant that literally gives you French fry baskets full of bacon.
Oh, you don't know what we had.
Are we going there?
We had the heart attack on a bun. It was 2 pounds of hamburger, 3 types of cheese, and 16 pieces of deep fried bacon, all in a giant salty Kimmel roll. We required people to sign a waiver saying he knew that it would kill you. And then we had the meat sundae. We would deep fry a soft taco shell to make the bowl. Then we would fill it with steak and chicken strips of fajita meat, and then we put cheese on top and put a big old meatball on top of the toothpick for the cherry.
Yeah, we need to get more Canadian bacon out here because our bacon's fucking anemic.
That's not bacon.
Yeah, that's not bacon. That's just ham. That's
Neither is ours.
Ah, well. Anyway, I digress. But man, when I quit that job, I lost 30 pounds in 30 days.
I bet you did.
That job was so unhealthy for me. Anyway, moving on here, unless anything else on Far Cry.
No, because I haven't played it yet, so.
Our greatest fear, highly drug-resistant gonorrhea confirmed by health officials.
Oh, man.
The fact that this is the greatest fear of the Washington Post is what gets me, but okay.
All right. The Australians are here, and we're here to help. We've just noticed that the duck-billed platypus actually has some goo that grows on its guts that fucking is one of the most effective antibacterial and antiviral fucking things in the world. And we're now trying to find out a way of making this into a medication. So anybody who's got the super gonorrhea, I'd try rubbing your dick up against a duck-billed platypus.
Are you serious?
Oh my God, stop it.
Are you serious? You aren't kidding.
I'm not kidding. I'm not kidding.
The cure for AIDS is to have sex with a duck-billed platypus.
No. Just rub your dick up. Just rub your dick up against his belly.
Oh, you just got to rub it. Just use it as an aid. Just hold on. Before we have sex here, I want to make sure we use protection. Pulls out a platypus.
I can't.
Waxes up with it.
It's all right. We don't need condoms. I've got a duck-billed platypus lube.
Oh my God! That's everything's deadly. Everything is deadly in Australia. Your duck-billed platypus, one of the cutest animals ever. It's deadly to diseases. It's just crawling with antibacterial. Nothing can grow.
Dude, no. Wait. So we all know that Australia is designed to kill me, right? So I am deathly allergic to like almost all antibiotics.
Oh my God! Oh look, it's a duck-billed platypus, and you pet it, and then you like your hand swells up, and you die.
Here's the thing: the funnel web spider is a one-shot use-all to aid any of your ills completely. It'll fucking kill you, so therefore, whatever you had won't bother you anymore.
Yeah, that's true. If you're dead, you're cured.
And being bitten by a funnel web spider is actually classed as a natural cause, because once you get bitten by a funnel web, naturally you're going to die.
Pretty naturally, yes. It's screaming probably, but you're gonna.
Isn't these strains of bacteria that are immune to antibiotics really a result of over medication? I mean, every time you have any strep throat, you have anything, they're overloading your system with antibiotics.
Well,
they've been.
How else are you supposed to get rid of it?
Yeah, the way the immune system works with antibiotics is that once you have a little bit of it, your body actually makes a bit of it itself, and any strain that comes along is already resistant to something that you've already got in your immune system, which is the whole point of a virus or a disease taking hold. So when they keep giving you antibiotics, you already form that part in your immune system, and anything that comes along that can overcome your immune system is already overcoming any medication that you've had before. That's the major problem. They're running out of strains of antibiotics that can still resist and overcome these new strains that have already overcome all the antibiotics that you've already had. That's the major problem.
Yeah, it's all over the. Yeah, the staff, the MRSA over here is just nasty as hell. I mean, we got to use 3 different antibiotics to even like put it on the ropes. So no, it isn't just chlamydia, but this is where things are going. But fortunately, according to the left, it's okay because you just free love and all that other stuff. Just free love, everybody just and it doesn't, because we're on the spectrum. We're in the spectrum of diversity and gonorrhea. It's a gonorrhea diversity. Because it's a spectrum between gonorrhea and chlamydia. It's just a diversity. Oh my God.
I fell into that burning ring of fire.
Well,
moving on. It's got a whole new implication, the burning ring of fire. Anything else?
Yeah, before you move on, Wendy was like, well, how are you supposed to get rid of it? Well, They
Right.
got rid of strep throat without antibiotics back in the day. I mean, you think they didn't have strep throat in the 1800s? I mean,
Colloidal
mean,
silver.
nobody was dying from strep throat.
Not saying that they didn't, but I mean, you did have more instances where it became a bigger issue and people did have risk of actually dying from that shit getting other places. But like with antibiotics, now you have a lesser risk of any of those major issues. At the same time, you're right. Like you would eventually get over it, but it would take like twice as long. So it also cuts the like time span of which you were sick like in half, which I mean, kind of nice.
Yeah, but it cuts it in half with the detriment being that it will now morph into a new strain that is immune to the antibiotics. When
I mean,
if
you have
just
that
dealt with it
risk 'cause
yourself,
genetics.
you would
Oh,
get the antibodies within your body to fight it off yourself.
Oh, I forgot to
right?
mention
Like,
this.
you're not
Poland has the
like
answer. Poland's got
What?
the answer. Poland's come up with this new technique. I've actually been looking into it, where they customize a virus to kill your bacteria, and then they just, pump it into you.
But then what happens to the virus?
The virus can only attack the bacteria. So as soon as it meets the bacteria, it attacks it. The bacteria gets taken over by the virus, makes more viruses. The bacteria explodes, pumps out all these new viruses who go look for more bacteria to go infect.
But then what happens when you're pumped full of this virus?
Well, the virus can't attack anything but the bacteria. So as soon as you're out of
But what
bacteria, it dies
happens when
off.
What happens when it inevitably mutates?
Right.
You're fucked.
Then you have zombies.
Well, that's
I don't
why it
like
has
this
to be
idea.
customized to you. It doesn't mutate that fast. Like it'll wipe out most
Rip the
diseases in a
zombies
couple of
with it.
days, and then trust me, the chemical difference between a bacteria and you is incredible. Okay, it's not. These viruses are designed to only unlock these bacteria. They take the sample out of you, and this technique could probably be used anywhere. It's really cheap. The problem is that it's from Poland, so the FDA doesn't trust it for some reason.
Mhm.
So, I mean,
Instead of doing their own independent studies on it, like they should be.
mhm.
Yeah, you can only get this in Europe, but give it another 5-10 years, you might be seeing it over here.
Who's that? Who's that arsehole with that Wu-Tang Clan fucking album? He's probably got a bloody monopoly on it already.
Or we can just rub our dicks with platypuses. So,
Oh my god.
shall we move on?
Thought you were gonna say, "Shall we move to Australia?"
No, because I'll die.
It's all right, Gwendy. I'll just rub a platypus on you. You'll be fine.
No,
At any rate,
you just want to kill me.
GOP Ag Epicenter tariffs spark Trump skepticism. Now, to read this article, you think that every farmer on the planet suddenly going, Trump's tariffs are going to make it a lot harder for us to, farm. But actually, my brother-in-law happens to be a dairy farmer, and he loves the tariffs. And when I asked him about it, he said, because I got a chance to talk to him earlier this week, he said, no, I'm good with all the tariffs and stuff. The people who are going to hate it are the big corporations. The big corporations are the ones who are going to lose out. All these massive agribusinesses. Those are the ones who are going to get screwed by the tariffs. The little guys, it finally gives us a fighting chance. So that's my opinion on the matter. Any discussion on the tariffs? Because what's going to happen is Trump's putting tariffs on like steel and other imports. And other countries are turning around saying, well, you're going to tax the steel, but we're going to tax your food. That's the problem.
Well, aren't tariffs usually for imports mainly only?
Oh, yes. No, this is a retaliatory tariffs. They're worried about. They're worried about because that's what China said. If you start putting tariffs on our exports to you, we're going to put tariffs on your exports to us. And they actually put out a list. And I believe it included pork and aluminum.
Well, that's all right. Well, if the Yanks can't send it overseas, well, then they'll have to sell it internally, which, well, fucking wouldn't that bring transport costs and all that kind of shit down and make food a little bit cheaper anyways?
Which would be great if you're a small local producer, but not somebody who's invested heavily in the infrastructure to export your food all over the planet. Those guys have a harder time competing locally, which is what would happen if there was a tariff war. Hence why this article exists, in my opinion. It's not that the farmers have a problem with it. It's that the farmers who are owned by large multinational corporations have a problem with it.
And that's the operative term, multinational. That's why they got the shits.
Well, I just wanted to bring it up.
Right.
Any comments?
Yeah, well, yeah. My initial response to any tariff is it's bad because the tariff is inherently a tax. But this is not the tariff of abominations we're talking about here. It was a slight tariff that President Trump put in effect. So I really don't have that much of a beef with it. And if they want to strike back with their own tariff, so be it. We'll see who wins.
Oh, and exactly we know who's going to win.
Like, you'll most likely find that a lot of these tariffs are just a result of fucking all of these multinationals getting away with fucking tax breaks in the first place. And everybody's been sucking about shit like Google and all that kind of stuff, using places like Australia as a tax haven. And we're about to fucking, find the crap out of them for all the taxes they've been getting away with. So, yeah, fucking people have been sucking about this.
And actually, MC, I was about to bring that up. The rest of the world cannot afford to not buy America's food. If America said we are not exporting any more food, the world will die. Nobody else makes enough food. That's the bottom line. We are the food producer for the planet, really. And I think that was deliberate. I think that was a deliberate plan on America's designed to be able to leverage everybody. But that all said there, yeah, in the end, they might raise some tariffs on some of our foods, but they're not going to do it on wheat or corn or rice or any of the mainstay that actually keeps your populations alive.
Mm-hmm.
Any more on this topic before moving on? Okay, hold on one sec here. Fun news, no more pain for Philippine devotee who is nailed to the cross for the 32nd time. Yes, this crazy motherfucker, for 32 years in a row, has been getting up on a cross and getting nailed to it for Easter as, just a celebration of Christ. And at this point, he's like, nah, the nails pretty much just go right in and I don't feel anything anymore.
Wait a minute, though. Next year, he'll be 33, right? Jesus died at 33.
No, he's 58. He's been doing this for 32 years.
I know. It'll be the 33rd year, though, and Jesus died at 33. It'll be a perfect time to kill him.
Oh, yeah. Well, if it dropped over 3 days afterwards, that would be so poetic. Yes, indeed.
Here's a medical argument for the reason why the story about Jesus being crucified is a load of bullshit. Because where the nails went through, they specifically do that because where in the palm of your hands and in your feet are what's called a median nerve. And if you pierce that, apparently it's so fucking painful that the shock can kill you in about a couple of minutes. So this whole thing about Jesus sitting up there for a couple of days is a bit of bullshit.
Oh, yeah, it should have tore through his hands. It's more likely they went through his wrists.
Actually, he was only up there for a couple of hours.
Oh, well, yeah. Well, either way, bloody, yeah, he fucking definitely wasn't alive by that stage. But yeah, I'd put it to you, if this guy's been having nails going through his median nerves for about 32 years, he probably did have nerve damage in his hands anyways.
I will agree that he is probably, I'm going to use a technical term here, fucked up. Anyway, shall we move on? I just thought that was kind of interesting and worth commenting about. Moving on to Australia, Farty. I think I already showed this one to you. Phrases to its core. Yeah. Outrage as nurses are subject to their new code where they must announce their white privilege before treating Aboriginals and Torres Strait Islander patients. Now, I went over the article a bit to get the pin down. These nurses are not actually forced to say, I have white privilege. However, when you actually read the regulations that is passed, technically speaking, the person who decides whether or not they are expressing their white privilege enough is the patient. So you could say, I have white privilege, and that could be enough. You could not mention it at all and just kind of go, hey, and show off your skin and say, just to show that you're white. Or you could give the guy a blowjob, and that would not be enough to display that you are suitably humble about your white privilege, and he could still have you fired. Well, I mean, he doesn't decide the punishment. Technically, it might just be a verbal reprimand all the way up to losing your job. But the patient is the one who decides whether or not you are suitably respectful of their cultural something. What was it? Hold on a second. They were worried about something weird. It was like it wasn't their health they were worried about. It was their cultural health or some weird shit like that.
Yeah, we sort of have two different sort of things, and I can give you an example.
Cultural safety, that was it. Clinical safety and cultural safety. We need to make sure their culture is safe. Anyway, please chat amongst yourselves.
We have this little place I'd like to call the Indian Reservation around here. It's a place called Biripai, and it literally is a sectioned off part where Indigenous Australians live. And right next to Biripai, in fact, my neighbour is a nurse there. She's part Aboriginal herself, and they only will employ Aboriginals at this nursing home, and they only take care of Aboriginal elders. And basically, like me and Wayne, my next door neighbour, he's Kylie's the nurse's husband. We've even gone down to Biripai on request to help do stuff, and you should see the looks on fucking people's faces when a white cunt walks in there. No thank yous, no nothing, because apparently I can't understand their culture or anything like that. And even telling them I've worked with fucking North Force and the Pilbara Regiment doesn't fucking do shit. So, unfortunately, yeah, we have some hardcore people out here that are like, well, this was our country first, mate. Or, well, what about those pygmies that were here before you? What fucking pygmies? We let you live, and we've actually set up hospitals for you, but that's not good enough.
Well, I'm sorry that your country has decided that nurses must announce. My personal take is, though, I want to get this at my job. I'm trying to actually get some black people here to send this in, saying that white people need to announce their white privilege to the people of color clients. Because if I could
if you want to talk about privilege as well. I mean, like in Australia, if you're born Aboriginal, you instantly can sit on the dole your entire life and never work a day. You've got a program called Ab Study, which is a free college grant, pretty much. They have their own legal services that specifically deal with the legal problems with Indigenous Australians and all this kind of stuff. And if you are completely white and all this kind of stuff and you are sick, you can't front up to one of these hospitals and you won't be able to use any of these legal services or anything like that. So I don't know. Yeah. I think they've got more fucking privilege than I do, even though I've served my fucking country.
And to be honest, that sounds absolutely horrific, because it sounds like exactly the sort of thing to make somebody flounder and be a complete lump. I mean, dear God, what better way to like crush somebody's spirit than to say, you don't have to do anything. We're here to help you. With no motivation whatsoever, people will become lazy, and you're not happy unless you have obligations. People are, it is proven, no better way to build up your self-esteem than to take on responsibility and fulfill your obligations.
And I have seen where they are a protected species too. I mean, like I've seen on a few occasions where I've been in the Centrelink office, the Dole office, right? And Sheila's come in, she's run out of money because she spent her entire Dole check on the booze and she wants to drink more. So she comes in and then instantly announces, oh, look at this fucking line. Yeah, no worries. The black cunt's got to fucking wait for all these fucking white bastards. Knowing that the white cunts are going to be like, oh, shit, we got to make her happy so she doesn't get the shits. Oh, what is it? I ran out of money because I fucking drunk it all. I want fucking more money. So give me more fucking money. Oh, don't worry. Just stay calm. Just that's the way they get treated.
That's horrific. I mean,
and I can't say anything about that too. And Amy, if you ever hear this, I'm fucking sorry, but yeah, you know as well as I do, that shit does happen.
Okay. Anybody else have any comments about Australia?
Kangaroos are quick.
Oh yeah, and they can kill you too.
The kangaroos can kill you. Okay, moving on here.
And the abos.
Okay, moving on to Playboy. We're quitting Facebook over the scandal.
And no one gave a fuck.
Well,
except
I think
for the people in Playboy.
I think it's starting. Well, I mean, to be honest, I doubt Playboy actually noticed anything when they quit, because I don't think that having a business having a profile on Facebook actually helps you all that much. I really don't. And I think that businesses are finally discovering that it's a lot of hype for Facebook and just saying, you know what, people can find us by Google. We don't need Facebook anymore. And I believe Zuckerberg's lost like $8 billion since, this whole thing came out, which is weird because it's been like this for years. Like, this is nothing new. He's been selling, people's data to everybody. That's the point of Facebook. And suddenly, because he sold to somebody who helped Trump, now his company must be destroyed. But, I think this is the beginning of the end for Facebook. I don't think they're really going to recover. They're going to become the next MySpace. And it's because they simply can't adapt.
You mean sell out and become a music site?
I don't know what they're going to sell out to become, but it's just you can't. They're in such a bubble. They do not understand their own users, and everything that they've said has been like such doublespeak. It's bizarre. We never sell anybody's data without their permission. Yeah, but the only way to use your site is to click on the disclaimer agreement, and that says, I agree that you can do anything you want.
Yeah, the first comment I put on my Facebook page in a good long while the other day was Cambridge Analytica is the reason why everything on my Facebook page has always been a lie.
I actually remember that I made one of these a couple of years ago because somebody was doing some weird contest and they needed help. And I managed to get the password and I've deleted mine. Like, not that it matters much, but I think every little bit will count in the long run here.
Here's another funny thing for you is that during the election with Hillary and Trump, right, I was contacted via Facebook by the New York Electoral Commission wondering if I'd like to vote.
Please tell me you told them you wanted to vote.
Oh my God, are you serious?
Well, I put a post up saying, well, if fucking Hillary wins, we'll know why.
Oh my God. Well, I mean...
But did you vote yourself, though?
No, I can't. I don't know how to over the internet.
Oh, you could have done a write-in. They would have probably given you a write-in that you could have. They would have sent you a PDF. You could have printed it out, and you could have wrote in your vote. And I'm sure they would have been happy to register you. Oh well, should we move on to the Pope?
Oh gosh.
The Pope.
Super Pope, there is no hell, says Pope Francis. Oh, God.
Yeah, and on the Pope, nothing says faith more than 3 inches of bulletproof glass.
To be fair, though, like, if you actually read the Bible, there's, like, one instance of a mention of a lake of fire, and it's never actually called hell? Otherwise, no mention of it.
Oh, no, I admit to some degree he's probably theologically right, but his church has a lot of apocryphal texts. I forget exactly what it's called, that basically backs up the existence of hell, and they are accepted. So he's going against not the Bible, but he's going against what has been accepted for about 2,000 years now.
Yeah, well, you see, because also in the Bible too, especially like say the 10 Commandments, for example, it's not 10. There's like fucking 27 or 30 something or something like that. They just picked all the juicy ones. There's in the Vatican Library, there's apparently 16,000 different versions of the Bible, and the one that you read's the cherry picked good bits that they wanted to say.
That's true.
Yeah.
Here's my take on it, though. This is the most social justice warrior Pope ever. Like, if you look at the stuff he's done, how he's basically said, I'm sorry to the Muslims. Like, we're terribly sorry. Like, do you forget that they attacked for 300 years before you started the whole crusade thing? But that all said, this whole there is no hell, that's such a social justice warrior. No, go do whatever you want. You just fade away if you're a sinner. You don't burn forever. You just kind of disappear. So if you're a complete
that you'd have non-existence versus having eternal existence after death.
In my opinion, he's half right, because the other half is there's no heaven either. The whole thing's bullshit. But that said, if you're going to accept the whole Judeo-Christian thing, are you saying for the past 2,000 years all the other popes were lying to us? And why? Yeah. It's like he's softening the church to try and bring in the kids.
In all fairness, Catholicism is like this just most ridiculous version of Christianity that exists.
Oh, I'm with you. But
You don't want to bring the kids into the Catholic Church at this fucking point in time in history.
Oh my God, no, stop.
Well, that all aside there.
Doesn't surprise me about this because remember the last Pope was a fucking Nazi, remember?
Yeah, he was the one who kept sneaking out to get pizza. Yeah, but people, he is the first Pope. The last Pope was the first Pope to ever quit. I mean, there have been contested popes where one said, okay, you win, and one stepped down. But this is the first uncontested Pope to say, I'm done.
Well, here's another thing about the last Pope. Well, he was supposed to be the last Pope before the end of the world. Maybe he's all saved up because, oh, fuck no, I'm resigning. If I don't die whilst being a Pope, then the world can't end.
I mean, that's fair.
That's
crazy.
Weirdly logical. Considering the context, possibly.
Right.
Huh.
Like that's plausible, I guess.
I mean, if you accept a lot of things, then yeah, from your religious point of view, you can say, you know what? I don't want the world ending on my watch. I'm going to quit before I die. That's pretty weird, but yeah, I can kind of see that. Maybe that was his motivation. I don't know why he quit. He never told anybody. He just, said, I'm quitting. So maybe that was it. He wanted to stop the end of the world. No. Good for him, then. Thanks for not ending the world. We appreciate it.
As residents of the world.
Thank you.
Just so you know, I keep all my stuff in the world, so I really appreciate that it's still here. Moving on to Putin fun.
What?
Putin spokesman likens Weinstein accusers to prostitutes. This is so pimp.
What?
This is so pimp.
They sucked the cock. They sucked their cock. They took their money, and now they're having a complaint. Well, they got paid for having a root. As far as I'm concerned, that's the definition of a whore to me.
Basically, his PR guy for Putin basically came out and just started talking about and said all these sexual harassment complaints in Hollywood for Harvey Weinstein were made by actresses who were effectively prostitutes. They earned hundreds of millions of dollars, and after 10 years, they say Weinstein is bad. None of them went to the police and said, Weinstein raped me. No, they wanted to earn $10 million. What is the name of a woman who slept with a man for $10 million? I call her a prostitute. It's only Putin and his guy-aronies. I mean, seriously, this is so tactless. I don't actually subscribe to this.
But no, I don't agree.
I don't either. I mean, I believe that judging by what Harvey Weinstein did, he really didn't just pick women out of the blue. He really set them up. He really fucked with their heads and really put them in psychologically twisted situations. And you can come across to me and say, well, you should have known, you should have stood by your principles. But he does a pretty good job of destroying your principles before he gets you to that point. Now, admittedly, yeah, you probably should have known you were being fucked with months before you got to that point, but still.
I'm still not buying that excuse for the simple reason that all these super powerful women have shut their fucking mouths for 10 years, but there was this one no-name bloody model from Italy that no cunt knew about. She had the balls to come out and do something about it.
Oh, well, my problem is not that they took the money. My problem is that when they finally realized there was a problem, they didn't do anything until somebody else stepped forward first. Because, unfortunately, in this kind of situation, there's a penalty for being the first one if the time isn't right. Your career is destroyed. Everybody who knows the truth with you will attack you in order to protect themselves if the time isn't right. But the first time somebody steps up and says the truth, and then nobody else takes that person down, then suddenly it's safe for all these people to step forward. I don't have a problem with them taking the money. I have a problem with them being cowards and allowing other people to suffer because they wanted to keep their money and they didn't want to protect other people. That's my issue.
Going back to a photo before, it's once that first person takes the step, then all the others can stand in a big group with their arms folded and their pissed off looks on their faces. We're big and tough and strong because we waited for somebody else to do something for us.
But that's...
I mean, it's good this is coming out. Period, end of statement. But you want me to call you a hero because you were willing to finally stand up when it was safe? Sorry, Pound Me Too does not impress me.
I mean, I'll agree with that statement. Out of everything else that's been said, I can agree with that statement right there.
I got you. At any rate,
I'm
moving
not
on
gonna call you a
here.
hero.
Talking about Roseanne.
Oh my God! Wait, is this the cookie thing?
I don't know what the cookie thing is. What's the cookie thing?
Damn it! No, that's okay. That is okay. I found it on Twitter earlier today, and I was laughing really hard, and I felt bad for laughing. But please, no, continue.
Okay, I have no idea what it is, but moving on here. Roseanne's first 2 episodes came out, and the ratings were amazing. Of course, the ratings sucked in California, and the ratings sucked in New York. But in the rest of America, it got that coveted 18 to 49 slot of demographics. And Hollywood is having a crisis because they're going, wait a minute, we created Roseanne to fail. Because Roseanne is pro-Trump. And suddenly Roseanne is got amazing ratings, especially in comparison to all the other crap that's out there. And Hollywood, unfortunately, they got a problem. They want to stick by their ideals. On the other hand, they're greedy bastards. So...
Well, okay. In all fairness, like having diversity in your television shows isn't a bad thing. Like, what was that one, that Last Man Standing? That was a great show. Or like The Ranch is a really good show, and it's more on the right-leaning side of anything else. Which is they're both good shows in comparison to the other ones that do tend to lean a little more left. It's nice to have that diversity.
Like Fox News and Family Guy.
I mean,
well, see, that's the part about Roseanne. While she is a Trump supporter, that wasn't the story. The plots were just that's just part of her backstory. It's not the story. Roseanne's plots, it's part of her personality, but it's not everything the show is about. Okay, it's
right.
I wasn't that impressed with it, but I'm not going, wow, it's well written. It's not for me.
It's almost like you can have your own opinions, but not talk about them all the time.
Yes, that's kind of what Roseanne, the new show, is about. And you don't want to know something? That's probably the way it should be. But the left is like going, oh my God, they're not talking about politics and it's making money. Just one more.
I got really into it in the first place.
Yeah, I never really liked Roseanne, to be honest. But you know what? I can't say it's bad. I just say it's not me. And if other people like it, great. It's nice.
Was garbage, by the way.
Oh, well, the last season. Well, yeah, that was.
My Name Is Earl.
That was horrible. Yeah, the last season was horrible. That was beyond jumping the shark. That was jumping the shark and making the shark explode as you go past it.
That was jumping the shark over the moon.
No, it was jumping the shark into the moon, and it was an impact visible from orbit.
I personally preferred Roseanne Barr's appearance in My Name Is Earl. That's the only time I've ever been interested in that person. So,
I liked her on The Office.
Never saw that.
She's an honest person, and she says whatever is immediately on her mind, and that offends some people, and other people like it. And, it's her style. It's how she's done her comedy, and, power to her. I would probably say of the female comedians out there, she's one of the best because she speaks her mind as opposed to her edited mind to make sure it's targeted to her audience. She is like, this is what I think. I can respect her. I can do that. I may not entirely enjoy with her jokes, but I can respect her, and that's important to me. Anyway, anything else on this? I thought it was worth noting.
Yeah.
Moving on to Coffee Will Kill You.
No, this is just another dig at me.
What we know about cancer risk and coffee. Dun, dun, dun. Well, actually, the coffee itself doesn't kill you, but supposedly one of the chemicals they use to make coffee does. The problem is that nobody knows. It's a possible carcinogen, but they're not positive if it's a carcinogen, and it's more a matter of how much of it you get exposed to if it's a carcinogen. But because it might be, well, now California requires that all coffee makers for California put big labels on their coffee saying may cause cancer, which is going to be fun to see at Starbucks. Starbucks, you created this monster, and now it comes back to fight you.
Nah, they're only doing this so they can fucking tax everybody out of drinking fucking coffee, because now I've started drinking coffee and I like coffee. I can't have any fucking thing in this joint.
You know what's weird? I don't know if you guys ever read Judge Dredd, but in Judge Dredd, there, if you read the backstory, the history of how it gets to that impossible situation, they started banning everything, including coffee and cigarette and everything enjoyable, and then no sugar, and then no sweeteners, and then there was eventually they got to the point where the only thing anybody drank was something called Grud, except it was found that Grud might be kind of addictive, so they replaced it with New Grud. I mean, and when you read this, it's like so insane. And then I read articles like this and I go, we are heading towards Demolition Man, Judge Dredd territory.
San Angeles.
Yeah, we're going that way. That's where we're going. Any thoughts about cancer coffee?
Well, if we are going to San Angeles, at least we're going to find out how those fucking 3 seashells finally work.
That's true. That's true. Shall we go to the cringe compilation? You guys seen the pictures, or do you want me to drop a couple? Put them back in the chat for you guys as I put them up.
Put them up.
Oh, I've been waiting for this all night.
I've got a perfect response for one of them.
I love this one. This first one, I just love it. Because when I saw the whole "this is not who I am" thing, I thought that was stupid to begin with. But this I can get behind. Justin Trudeau and that stupid orange get up.
Is that Justin Trudeau?
That's Justin Trudeau. That's Justin Trudeau.
Cute.
Yes.
Wait,
but that is
the president of the internet?
That's the president of the internet. Oh my God. Oh.
But hang on.
It's a better title than Queen of 4chan.
Haven't they fucked this up already? Because the last time I checked, Sikhs weren't Muslim.
Moving on.
Sikhs wear turbans.
This one was classy. My baby can decide his gender. What's wrong with this picture?
I mean,
she already fucking decided, didn't she?
Well, it depends on if the baby's already been born or not as well.
I don't know. You see something like this and you're just going, were you thinking when you made this? I mean, did you follow your own internal logic? That's my concern.
Well, I'm guessing the kid's gender is a because that would be the only response I'd expect from a baby. So little Johnny, what's your gender? All right then.
Couple's Halloween costume.
Can we?
No.
I'm just.
Damn it.
And the fact that he's got his pants hanging down to show off the panties. I mean, it's just like, dude, what's your testosterone at? 3, maybe 4.
He better be getting laid like mad for this. That's all I gotta say.
Who?
You know what's even worse?
Probably not. He's probably watching her get laid.
You know what's even worse though?
Oh yeah, he's probably just her friend.
Nah, his tits are bigger than hers. He fills that bra out pretty well.
That is actually scarily true.
No, you can easily see how that bra totally does not fit him whatsoever. You don't know shit about what bras are supposed to look like on tits.
Well, I don't wear them. I might have tits. I might have tits, but don't take that the wrong way.
For those of you who are weak of heart or are not strong of bowel, look away.
Hang on. I got the perfect response for this.
Okay.
This
in
was
all fairness though, like there is gonna be people who think that she is attractive.
I know, I'm with you, but I'm just
Hang on. Has it got a fucking dildo hanging out of its
Yes, that's a dildo hanging out of its zipper.
Is it?
That's what put. I was like, this isn't that bad. What's so cringy? And then you didn't notice the dildo, and I went, oh, now I see why this is a ton of cringe.
Okay, I'm sorry if you're gonna wear a dildo at your pants. Yeah, that is totally an invitation. You're a liar.
This is not an invitation. Yeah, no one was asking for one either.
This is just. And you're standing on the side of the road. And
he's got a ray gun.
I just.
That actually looks like someone tried to circumcise a dog.
Oh, I saw that.
Too far.
This is just one of those instant karma ones.
Oh, hang on. Is that dude the guy that got the super gonorrhea?
Quite possibly. No, it was the super chlamydia in this case. My STD nightmare. My open relationship.
Okay, like, in all fairness, I've been in open relationships and I've never had a disease.
I'm with you. It's just that the irony of this is what got my attention.
And I suppose we should feel sorry for her because she ignored the advice that she was given from high school to wear a fanger.
Now this one just kind of is sad, the fact that it's happening at all.
No. This doesn't surprise me at all because when Ted Bundy got fucking arrested, he got fucking bag loads of bloody mail and had fucking lines of Sheilas trying to give him conjugal visits. This doesn't surprise me at all. And especially when fucking Sheilas will jump in a car with Ted Bundy to get away from people like me. Yeah, it doesn't surprise me.
We have a self-esteem issue in America. That's our problem. We need whatever we're doing to try to give girls self-esteem is not working. We need to stop it and do something else immediately because it is working wrong.
Follow the advice of Michael Jordan. Stop it.
Yeah, you just stop trying to sleep with mass murderers.
Wait, hold on. I've got the perfect follow-up image.
And I would like to point out this is the same kids that are the same as that hog idiot. I just want to smack the stupid out of that kid. I really do. You know.
What the Hitler's youth?
No. There's this kid who's anti-gun and he's saying the dumbest things. I mean, he is so stupid. He is so factually incorrect. But, CNN just sits there and they bob their freaking head like they're a bobblehead and just like, because everything he's shouting, despite the fact being completely insane and incorrect, is anti-gun and it's part of their agenda. So they don't care that he's their mouthpiece. And if anybody dares to talk against Hogg, how can you attack a child? The moment he picks up the mic, he's not a child. However, on his Twitter account, he's more than happy to say, how can you attack children? Well, if you're a child, then you shouldn't be talking in a public forum because this is for adults. You're either an adult or you're a child. Pick one. Don't keep switching back and forth like a coward. Because adults don't do that.
Yeah, that reminds me of that black senator, Christine something, who got up in front of the TV cameras and was saying all sorts of stupid shit like, the M16s can fire 1 million rounds in 0.6 of a second or something like that, and the longer magazines or something like that, they're more deadly, and the flash suppressor makes the bullets fly faster or some fucking retarded fucking shit. Like I stopped listening to it because it was that fucking stupid.
And moving on to what we started off with, I just think this picture needs to be revisited. No one in Germany will be anti-Muslim if only Muslims live in Germany. Now, that's not an actual quote, but I just love the picture of her sitting there poking her head. That is just class. It's just classy. I love it.
No. Here's a racist part about this, right? She's white, and she's pointing to the right side of her head, so she's actually saying the white is right.
There you go. That was my response to the girls sending the bikini pictures.
I will put that up. Good heaven, look at the time. That's great. Okay, we got 3 left here. Oh, wait, actually, you know what? One of these we can skip. We already covered it. Okay, here we go. Stephen Colbert apologizes to Trump and calls out CNN for lies. It's not really an apology because in the exact same show where he apologizes to Trump, he also insults Trump again. So it's kind of hard to believe you're sincere about apologize. You were wrong about everything and I'm so sorry. But he does bring up an interesting point. The reason why he has his apology is because he wants that same demographic that likes Roseanne. That was the point of him apologizing, to try and bring in those viewers. And I think that's pretty telling. This guy is a left-wing, kind of mild. I mean, he hasn't really stood out like Kimmel, who's a complete moron, but Stephen Colbert is still up there. He thinks he's funny, but he's not really. I've tried watching him. I used to like him, but he just kind of went.
Yeah, like back in the late 2000s, he wasn't that bad.
Well, he used to attack. Everything that he joked about was true, absolutely, definitively true. He didn't go to the gray areas. Whatever he was talking about, you could look it up yourself and verify it. But these days, everything is subjective. Everything is the feels, and even his apology is all about feels. And I mean, I'm glad he admits bold-faced that, hey, I'm doing this because I need more ratings. But as he puts it, well, I would like 18 million people to watch my show. No, I think that his show needs to die right along with all the rest of them. They're not funny anymore. Just nothing about him is interesting, really. He's kind of boring and predictable. If I know the punchline before you say it, you're not funny. Man, so.
Well, even if the punchline just doesn't fall, and that's where he hasn't been consistent. And like with most people, I haven't watched him for a good long while either because of that. It's just not consistent.
And the whole reason he brought it up was because CNN misrepresented his show and lied about his show. And so he called out CNN for it. But really, all things said and done, it's nice that, okay, maybe he really apologized, maybe he didn't, but it's all BS. And I think this is the tip of the iceberg, though. I think this is like a symptom where he's just saying out loud what the rest of Hollywood is thinking, which is, damn, we're really hurting for ratings, and Roseanne took off like a rocket. Hey, I'd like to keep my job, and we need ratings to do that. So, hey, I think he's just saying what everybody in Hollywood's thinking. Anything else? One left. And last but not least, Walmart will stop selling Cosmopolitan magazine in checkout lines. That doesn't mean they're stopping selling it. They're just stopping selling it right there at the checkout line. Why? Because it's sexually exploitation. Thoughts? Is it? I mean, admittedly, whenever I see a Cosmo, everything's about, hey, tips on how to have better orgasms, right on the front page. So,
Cosmo was the one magazine I remember growing up that you had to hide from your parents that you read because it was dirty.
It was Hustler for me.
Honestly,
every freaking thing was how to get a man to do this thing, have multiple orgasms, how to get a guy to like you, shit like that was what was really, really big. And even with the teen one, it was just as bad. And I remember the neighbor girl across the street used to read this shit, and I would go over to her house to read it all because my mother wouldn't let me have it.
To be honest,
I want to know what the fuck it's about.
I read 2 Cosmos after reading this just to see where they're at. And I'm going to be honest, it is the most feminist stuff I've ever read. I don't understand how this magazine in any way, I mean, as far as feminism is going, it's so pro-female, it's not funny. Okay, so I don't see this as being, bad for women from what I read. I mean, understandably, some of the parts of it, I'm kind of just cringing at no, that's been disproved 1,000 times. But that said, I do not think that Cosmo's anti-female or exploiting women, but apparently the National Center on Sexual Exploitation told Walmart that they were exploitative, and so Walmart is well, we're going to move them away from the checkout aisles. And it's this weird backlash, puritanism from we want to liberate women by hiding them from everybody. I just don't get it. I just do not understand the mentality of this. So, thoughts?
That's all I gotta do with kids.
I mean, okay, fine. If you're saying we don't want to put this in front of kids, okay, great. That's fine. But that's not the reasons they give. It's places women's value primarily on their ability to sexually satisfy a man, and therefore plays into the same culture where men view and treat women as an inanimate sex object.
Okay, I can agree with that, though.
You think Cosmo makes men look at women as sex objects?
No, I think Cosmo makes women think that they're sex objects.
You know what? I can actually agree with that. I
Okay,
think
then.
that maybe Cosmo does make women think they're sex objects because
I mean, like as far as like their quizzes and the stupid shit about getting all the orgasms, like really?
because as I said before, men subjectify women. They project their ideal woman onto women, which is wrong in and of itself. But I don't see them as turning a woman into an inanimate object. Like they don't. Most men do not look at a woman and say, "Wow, she's kind of like a couch." No, but they
Most
will
men don't,
project
but
their
they're
own
quite a
views
few.
onto the woman. And the woman, what they have in their head does not match reality. I'll give you that. But that all said,
But wasn't the hypocritical nature of that magazine always present? It's sort of like how to become an empowered woman, and then the next page is like 36 questions to see if you're pleasing your man and keeping him. So, hang on a minute. Do you want them to be all empowered, or do you just want them to be fucking Stepford wives?
Now,
Right.
in defense of Cosmo, the two magazines, I only looked through two because that's all I could get free off the internet as a PDF file. Of the two that I saw, none of that was in there. That may have been a while ago, but none of that was, how to, that blatantly said you need to please your man. No, it's
Well,
like
that-
how to drive him
Like,
crazy
all
so you
that
can
was in
manipulate
those
him.
things.
Yeah,
No,
well, that
that's
was my
more-
that,
That's
that
more
was my
random.
next. Yeah, well, that was my next suggestion. Maybe they're just changing the demographic to suit the lay of the land nowadays.
The one I really remember was it had a lot about Megan Fox in it, and something. To be honest, I've kind of tried to force
Is Megan
it
Fox even still relevant?
out. According to
Apparently.
to Cosmo, yes, but yeah. But it was
Well,
a
she
lot.
isn't democracy.
Yeah, it's still a lot about various sexual positions and but it also had a lot about how Me Too stuff, pound Me Too stuff in there, and talking about probably how to get jobs through. Well, that's what it is. It's the pound sign Me Too, pound Me Too, right?
Pound me too.
In this episode, old people being old.
What? What the hell? It's the pound sign. It's on my phone. There's the pound sign. Press the pound sign. Whenever I call my doctor, I gotta press the pound
I love
sign.
you like this much right now.
Hey, maybe we've all got this wrong, and they're all just really stupid, and they can't seem to think that, hang on, no, me too. We're protesting against, but we want to be pounded as well.
I understand it's the whole thing for you put on your hashtag or whatever, but still. All right. Well, at any rate, this is where we're going to wrap up here, unless there was something else you guys want to bring up.
I've just thought of something. The pound me too thing is a 4chan troll.
It wouldn't surprise me if it started out that way.
Yes,
Kind of like the bald for Bieber.
Oh my god, that was so great.
Hitler did nothing wrong. Bodie McBoatface.
Bodie Boatface.
Sinestro did nothing wrong.
7-Eleven was a part-time job.
It's an indoors job. Get it right.
No, look, I've heard it both ways.
Well. Any
You
other
gotta
crazy
say it
things
properly
you want to
too.
bring up?
Yeah, you gotta say it properly too. It's 7-Eleven is an indoors job.
Oh my god.
I do have something I'd like to say. I'm tired of them putting chemicals in the water that turn the friggin' frogs gay.
Oh, I'm sick of these chemtrails and all this kind of stuff. They're making me see.
Oh,
yeah, no,
oh my
please
God!
don't.
I've got one more because I just saw this in the side and I have to.
Oh, no! I've got a
Planned
context
Parenthood.
for you.
No, you got Planned Parenthood branch calls for Disney princess who's had an abortion, then deletes the tweets.
Yeah, I heard about that.
I did not hear about this until I just saw that.
I have not heard about that.
Oh my God!
I might have to call shenanigans.
We were talking about it last night.
Planned Parenthood Keystone. Maybe it is shenanigans. It's a little too perfect, but we need it. I can't see some idiot in charge of their Twitter account going, we need a Disney princess who's had an abortion. We need a Disney princess who's pro-choice. We need a Disney princess who's an undocumented immigrant. We need a Disney princess who's actually a union worker. We need a Disney princess who's trans. This sounds like trolling to me. This sounds like a
A
Poe.
trans princess. That'd be pretty boss.
Well, I don't. I'm not saying
haven't they
that it's
already
bad,
had
but it sounds like a Poe. It sounds like the sort of thing a Poe would post. It doesn't.
Haven't they had the undocumented one though already? Was it Snow White or fucking Wizard of Oz? Dorothy wasn't from fucking Oz.
Yeah, but that wasn't Disney. That wasn't
That's
Disney.
Warner Brothers.
That was
Yeah.
Warner Brothers. Planned Parenthood paid money to March of Our Lives. Oh yeah, March of Our Lives was astroturfing, 100%. It was 100% astroturf. You know, and for once, I actually have to give props to Black Hitler because he was advocating for Black Lives Matter. But when he was interviewing these kids who wanted to have their own Black Lives Matter rally, they're going, hey, we've been trying to have a Black Lives Matter rally, and instead we get dragged out to this gun protest that nobody organized. Not a single kid who was there even knew it was happening. We had a 15-minute warning. And he's got like multiple kids at this school talking about how, no, any claim from the news that this was organized by the kids is bullshit. Not a single kid organized it yet. These black kids are going, we can't get a Black Lives Matter protest going. So, you know, one thing, they should have their right to free speech, even if I don't agree with what they have to say. But that said, I believe it's very telling that these kids are going, nope, this is 100% created by the school. The teachers organized this. Not a single student participated. We were dragged out there and used as props. So that's the whole March of Our Lives
I can see that
thing.
happening, but that doesn't mean that that's every single instance.
I don't know if it's every
would not
single
agree with
instance, but I think it's a really bad sign. Because I'm always of the opinion when I see one thing wrong, there's probably happening more than once. It's the same policy I have here with the clients. If I catch you doing something wrong once, you don't get to go, oh, this is the only time I had drugs in my sock drawer. No, this is the only time I caught you with drugs in your sock drawer. I'm assuming it's happened 99 times before this. I just missed it. All right.
Well, I can assume that they're correct about this, and it will happen a lot more because it has happened a lot in Australia and has done so for fucking decades. Teachers used to drag, like, especially when they wanted a pay rise, they used to drag all their students along to all the protests just so as they'd have numbers. So, and you guys have taken a lot of notes from us lately, like what with bloody Hillary fucking liking Julia Gillard, and we had fucking Kevin Rudd, one of our worst fucking prime ministers over there, trying to fucking say, why don't you just repeal the Second Amendment? Oh, fuck's sake, Kevin, shut the fuck up. Do you think if that was that easy, they would have fucking done it by now? You stupid. Stop fucking making us look like a bunch of
No.
retards.
Stop. Never interrupt your enemy when they're making a mistake. Okay? I want him to try.
But he's been so irrelevant that we fucking booted him. We only got him back so we could just vote him out. Like, Gillard replaced him. She was appointed, and then we voted against her, and then someone fucking appointed her again, and she was that bad that before she finished her term, we fucked her off, put Kevin Rudd back in just so we can say, right, we're voting you out, fuck off too. That's how irrelevant that cunt was.
I don't entirely understand the politics in your country, but it sounds like it was a clusterfuck. Anyway.
Oh, it was.
Just this post, I'm not sure if it's real or not. There's a part of me that wonders if somebody working at Planned Parenthood who decided to be a Poe posted this, because it's a little too spot on. It's a little too 4chan for me. Like, this sounds like the kind of thing somebody at 4chan would do. That said, it's very bad optics. It's very bad, because the next Frozen movie needs an abortion subplot. That'd be awesome.
I mean, they already have the Flash games for it, so.
Disney abortion Flash games?
No, Frozen abortion Flash games.
RPG Mix.
Frozen.
I guarantee you, if you Google it exists.
You
Elsa
know
my
what? It
God.
probably does.
Oh my god.
Elsa
Yeah, like,
C-section.
It's the whole Elsagate thing. That's the whole Elsagate thing.
I have Google up right now. Hold on.
No. The Elsa Gate thing was people actually dressing up like Elsa and doing weird shit like dry
it
humping
wasn't.
on the bed.
No, I know for a fact that it wasn't because I had to actually pay attention to it because I have a kid and I saw some of the fucking videos. It's these companies in like India and shit that are making these cartoons of like popular characters, but they're just off enough that they can get away with it. Doing really stupid.
I know what you're talking about on
watching.
Pornhub and crap. Yeah.
No,
No,
it's
dude.
on YouTube. And it's
Yeah,
getting
no,
on
no.
YouTube Kids, like on the program that's designed just for children. Like you have your parental settings and everything, all just for kids and stuff. It's getting on there, and kids are getting to see it past all these filters because it's labeled as these cartoon characters. And so these kids are getting like exposed to
What
a
are
bunch of
these-
really dirty ass
No, no, no,
videos
no,
of cartoon characters doing shit.
There's a subgenre of actual flash games that they're not on YouTube.
Yes.
You can actually go and play these things themselves. Like this is
Yes.
a different thing to
like
the
this
Elsa
one.
Gate thing.
Like,
And there's one where like you've got Elsa and she's got a pregnant belly and you can actually get like a scalpel and cut her guts open and all that kind of shit.
And they do videos
I
on that shit,
literally-
and that gets on my YouTube Kids, and I have to watch my son's shit to make sure that he isn't getting in. Like, I have all of his stuff set. He can't search for videos, but they'll run along.
Elsa cesarean birth.
Yes,
Yeah.
yes, that kind of shit is fucked up.
I
Yeah,
hate
I have to
you.
literally,
I
like,
hate you
watch
for
that and
showing
watch
this to
it.
me. I hate you for showing this to me. I did not need to know this existed.
But
Well,
the
there's a
thing
li-
is, to me, is the fact that it even
This
got
is the
past
worst
because
cry,
it's
and it's got a little panda with a bow for it. Oh my God Almighty! Oh.
Wait, it gets
well,
better. It gets
The
better.
only
No, it
only
doesn't. It doesn't.
the
Oh
only,
dear
the only
God,
time I've
heaven.
seen this, yeah, there's spinal surgery, there's brain
Baby
surgery,
Elsa
there's
spinal surgery.
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah. Like
Well,
they've
the
got
only
all
ti-
that shit, and it's to try and get like kids to do this shit. But like, it's the fact that people are making this stuff is so just oh my God.
Well, the
Who
only time
does
I've ever
that?
seen this is from
Princess
a YouTuber
Girl
called
Games?
the RPG Minx. Yeah, the only time I've ever seen this shit is from a YouTuber called the RPG Minx, and she's a giant lezo. And I'd put it to you, if you're letting your kids watch it, the RPG Minx, you've got more fucking problems than this shit.
See, no, that's the thing.
There is
though,
no
that
level this is not
it's
wrong.
supposed to be.
There's no level of reality in which this is not just wrong. This is just
Have a look at that,
wrong.
Oh my God.
Holy
Have a
fuck!
look at
This
that
is
one,
this is beyond wrong. This is utterly and completely wrong. Just reality is wrong if this exists.
Guys,
It really exists.
I'm fucking
It
dying
exists.
over here.
Okay, hold on. Give me a second and I'll post it. Give me a second. I hate you.
Okay, so has anybody ever seen the Japanese anime flash games?
Enjoy my pain, audience. Enjoy my pain. Oh my.
You can get Elsa to fuck people and all sorts of shit. There's one that's got there's one of these games from one of these Japanese anime sites that where like the Last of Us, the little girl from the Last of Us takes it up the bum from the fucking bloke who's supposed to be protecting her.
Why does this exist? Why?
Because weird
I am
Japs.
so amused.
Weird Japs.
Oh my God. How does this? Why? Why? Oh dear God. What demographic are you targeting? What are you? Why? Why? And what's the play Rosie? No, don't answer that. No, I don't want to know why there's a pink horse that there's an option. I don't want to know what that option is. Oh dear God in heaven.
Oh man.
Oh no, there's even weirder ones where like you can even torture shit, like torture.
No,
people and shit
no.
like that.
See, the torturing stuff I can understand. There's sadistic, evil people out there who enjoy the suffering of others, but I do not know what the point is of Elsa beard shave. And it's not even a blonde beard. It's like if it was blonde beard,
Here's another good one.
Not as bad as the beard, in my opinion, but still. But okay, I will post.
Yeah, I see that shit on fucking like Google Play all the goddamn time, and I'm like, who would play this? Who would honestly play this shit? Oh my God.
The RPG Minx does, evidently.
Oh my gosh.
See, not as bad, I know, but I don't know. Elsa's tooth injury. Okay, you're teaching kids about teeth, okay, and why it's important to brush your teeth. I can kind of see that there might be some level of education here, because if you saw this, it might terrify you as a child to brush your teeth more. Okay, If the beard one is the one where I just like, I I just.
Oh wait, that's an animated one. Hold on.
Oh yeah.
Don't look. You didn't see that.
No. I've seen one similar. You got to move your mouse across the screen really hard to see how hard you can hit her in the ass.
Yeah, that's basically what it is. It's basically that slap the monkey game, but with Elsa and a real.
Spank the monkey.
Yeah, you remember that Flash game?
Okay, actually,
Last
I need to
time
wrap
I-
this
last
up
time I
here.
checked-
It's getting close to midnight,
Last-
and while this has been
last-
real, it hasn't been fun. This definitely has not been fun. This has been pain.
I'm still supposed to get over the Elsa beard shaving.
Any last words before we wrap this up here?
Remember, if you're a 19-year-old Scandinavian princess with ice powers, to always shave your beard.
And brush your teeth. Shave your beard.
Yes, and brush your teeth.
And brush your teeth. Any last going words
And
before we
let-
head out?
And let little kids give you a cesarean.
Okay, well, heading out here then. It's been real and it hasn't been fun. It has not been real fun. I will catch you all guys later. Any last goodbyes?